Chapter 1: Dust and Echoes. The Kepler 186f moon was a graveyard of jagged peaks and crimson dust, a landscape sculpted by eons of radiation storms and seismic tremors. Dr. Aries Thorne, her face smudged with the fine, ochre powder, knelt beside a freshly excavated fissure. Her breath plumed faintly in the thin, frigid air, each exhalation a tiny cloud against the backdrop of a bruised, red sun. Around her, the members of her team, a ragtag bunch of geologists, engineers, and linguists, worked with the frantic energy of ants dismantling a fallen giant. "Anything, Jax?" Aries asked, her voice raspy from the dry air. Jax, a burly geologist with grease permanently stained under his fingernails, grunted. "Readings are off the charts. Document. This obsidian, it's not natural. The energy signature is unidentified." He gestured towards a shard of obsidian, roughly the size of a human fist, embedded in the rock. Its surface pulsed with a faint, internal light, a mesmerizing display of shifting violet and emerald hues. It felt strangely warm to the touch, radiating a gentle heat that belied the biting cold of the lunar surface. "Unidentified how?" Lena, the team's xenoarchaeologist, chimed in, her voice hushed with awe. She peered at the shard through a magnifying lens, her dark eyes wide with wonder. "The energy patterns, they're unlike anything I've ever seen. Complex, almost sentient." Suddenly, the ground trembled. A low groan, like the dying breath of a titan, echoed through the canyons. Dust rained down from the canyon walls, obscuring the already dim light. Then, a blinding flash erupted from the distance, followed by a deafening roar that sent shockwaves rippling through the ground. "Cathar," Jax yelled, his voice barely audible above the din. "They found us." Panic seized the team. Lena scrambled to her feet, her face pale with fear. "We need to get out of here. Now." Aries, however, felt a surge of adrenaline mixed with a grim determination. This wasn't just another Cathar incursion, this was something more. The obsidian shard, the strange energy readings, the sudden attack, it was all connected. "Extraction point Delta," she shouted, pointing towards a narrow crevice in the cliff face. "Move!" The team scrambled towards the crevice, dodging falling rocks and the plumes of dust kicked up by the approaching Cathar ship. The ship itself was a terrifying spectacle, a sleek, obsidian dreadnought that seemed to melt into the shadows, its surface shimmering with an unnerving, cold light. Laser cannons charged, spitting bolts of searing energy. The escape was a chaotic scramble, a desperate flight through a landscape suddenly transformed into a battlefield. A member of Ares's team was hit, a horrifying scream cut short by the roar of the Cathar ship's engines. Ares pushed forward, dragging another injured team member with her. They reached Delta just as the Cathar ship unleashed a devastating barrage, obliterating the entrance to the main excavation site. Ares risked a glance back, their camp was engulfed in flames. The loss hit her hard, a cold fist clenching her heart. She clutched the obsidian shard, its warmth a small comfort in the face of devastating loss. Survival now hinged not only on reaching safety but on deciphering the secrets this mysterious shard held. The whispers of the void were calling, and Ares was determined to answer. Chapter 2: Whispers from the Void. The escape had been harrowing, a near-death experience that left Ares and the surviving members of her team shaken but alive. They were holed up in a makeshift shelter carved into the rock face of a remote canyon, miles from the devastation of their former camp. The obsidian shard, salvaged from the wreckage, rested on a makeshift table fashioned from salvaged equipment. Its pulsing light cast long, dancing shadows on their faces. "The Cathar were relentless," Lena murmured, her voice barely a whisper. Her hand instinctively went to the bandage covering a deep gash on her arm. "They knew about the shard." Jax, his face grim, nodded. "They were hunting us. This wasn't just some routine patrol. This was a targeted strike." Ares, however, was already immersed in her work. She was using a combination of advanced scanners and her own intuitive understanding of alien languages, attempting to decipher the strange energy patterns emanating from the shard. "I'm picking up something," she announced, her eyes glued to the monitor. "A structured sequence within the energy pulses." It's a language. Days bled into nights as Ares worked tirelessly, her eyes bloodshot, fueled by adrenaline and black coffee. Lena and Jax, despite their exhaustion and injuries, provided invaluable assistance, sifting through data and cross-referencing their findings. I've managed to isolate several recurring patterns, Ares said, pointing at the screen. They seem to correlate with specific energy signatures. I believe this might be a form of encrypted communication. Encrypted? Jax raised an eyebrow. By whom? And why? That's what we need to figure out, Ares replied, her voice strained but resolute. Weeks later, Ares's painstaking work started to bear fruit. Using advanced AI-assisted linguistic analysis, she managed to crack the encryption. The messages, translated, painted a disturbing picture of the Cathar, a militaristic, expansionist species with a ruthless drive for conquest and an insatiable thirst for power. They had been tracking the obsidian shards for centuries, their existence known only to a select few within their rigid hierarchy. The messages also revealed the Cathar's fear, a fear of something far older, far more powerful than themselves, something the shards held the key to unlocking. But there was a twist, a hidden message within the larger narrative, cleverly disguised using a complex fractal pattern that had eluded the AI at first. Ares felt a shiver run down her spine as she translated it. The message hinted at a specific frequency, a resonance that could disrupt the Cathar's advanced energy weapons systems, a potential weapon against an enemy seemingly unstoppable. Hope flickered, fragile yet bright, amidst the despair. The whispers from the void, once cryptic and ominous, now held a glimmer of strategic advantage, a chance to turn the tables on the Cathar hegemony. Chapter 3: The Hammer Falls. The fragile piece of their hidden canyon was shattered without warning. A tremor, far more violent than any they'd experienced before, ripped through the ground, sending rocks tumbling down the canyon walls. The air crackled with energy, the scent of ozone sharp in their nostrils. "They found us," Jax growled, his voice tight with dread. He grabbed his salvaged pulse rifle, its worn barrel a testament to their desperate struggle for survival. Lena, her face pale, pointed towards the canyon entrance. 3 Cathar attack ships, sleek and obsidian black, descended from the sky, their laser cannons trained on their position. The ships were larger, more heavily armed than the scouts they had encountered before. "This isn't a scouting party," Ares said, her voice betraying none of the fear that gripped her. "This is a full-scale assault." The Cathar ships unleashed a barrage of laser fire, the energy blasts tearing into the rock face, sending dust and debris raining down. The makeshift shelter offered little protection. They were trapped, their only defense the meager weapons they'd salvaged and their wits. "We can't fight them head-on," Jax yelled over the roar of the laser fire. "Their firepower is too overwhelming." Ares, her mind racing, remembered the geological instability of the region, the vast network of subterranean caverns beneath their feet. It was a risky gamble, but it might be their only chance. "Jax, Lena," she shouted, her voice ringing with the authority born of desperation. "We trigger the collapse. Now!" She activated a seismic charge, a device designed to analyze the subterranean shifts, but repurposed for something far more destructive. A deafening boom shook the ground as the charge detonated, sending shockwaves reverberating through the canyon. The earth groaned, the ground buckling and cracking beneath their feet. The Cathar ships, caught in the chaos, were momentarily thrown off balance. Explosions rocked the canyon as sections of the cliff face collapsed, creating a devastating landslide that buried the immediate area beneath tons of rock and debris. Ares, Lena, and Jax ran, dodging falling rocks and debris, the ground shaking violently beneath them. The ground was literally falling apart around them, the seismic charge had done more than intended. The chaos of the collapse provided a vital distraction, they were able to escape the immediate area. But as they reached a precarious ledge, a harrowing scene unfolded. One of their team, Ben, was pinned under a fallen boulder, his desperate cries echoing through the ravaged landscape. The Cathar ships, having regrouped, began to advance once again. Ares knew what she had to do. With a heavy heart and a wrenching sense of loss, she made the agonizing decision to leave Ben behind, a decision made not out of cruelty, but out of cold, hard necessity. Their escape route was closing fast. It was either their collective survival or certain death. They escaped the immediate area, but not without further losses. The initial blast had been far more destructive than anticipated. They were alive, but severely wounded, the canyon behind them a testament to the brutal efficiency of the Cathar and their own desperate gamble for survival. The escape was a Pyrrhic victory, leaving them stranded, outnumbered, and mourning their fallen comrades. The battle was far from over. Chapter 4: Beneath the Crimson Canopy. Days bled into a blurry nightmare of pain, exhaustion, and the constant threat of discovery. Ares, Lena, and Jax, battered and bruised, stumbled through the treacherous landscape of Kepler 186f's moon, their meager supplies dwindling. Hope felt like a distant star, barely visible through the ever-present crimson dust. "We can't keep going like this," Lena gasped, clutching her injured arm. Each step was an agony, each breath a struggle against the thin, harsh air. Jax, his face grim, nodded. "We need shelter, supplies, for plan." Their despair was palpable, a heavy blanket smothering their spirits. Yet, amidst the bleakness, Ares noticed something unusual, a faint luminescence emanating from a crack in a distant cliff face. It was a subtle glow, almost imperceptible against the harsh landscape, yet it held a strange allure. Intrigued, Ares led them towards the light, her determination fueled by a desperate hope that had stubbornly refused to die. As they approached the cliff face, the luminescence intensified, revealing a hidden entrance to a vast subterranean cavern. The air inside was warm, humid, and strangely sweet, a stark contrast to the cold, desolate landscape above. The cavern was breathtaking, a vast, subterranean world bathed in the soft, ethereal glow of bioluminescent flora. Giant, glowing fungi cast an otherworldly light, illuminating strange, alien plant life and winding tunnels that snaked deep into the earth. But it wasn't the beauty of the cavern that caught their attention, it was the sound. A series of melodic chimes, intricate and complex, resonated through the air, creating a haunting symphony. As they ventured deeper, they encountered the Silvani. Tall and slender, with skin the color of polished jade and eyes like molten gold, they moved with an unnerving grace, their movements fluid and silent. They were unlike anything Ares had ever encountered, possessing an ethereal beauty that was both captivating and slightly intimidating. A tense standoff ensued. The Silvani, initially wary and hostile, studied them with keen, appraising gazes. Ares, speaking in a mixture of universal sign language and carefully modulated tones of her own, attempted to communicate, explaining their situation. She spoke of the Cathar, of their desperate flight, of the obsidian shard. The Silvani listened patiently, their golden eyes never leaving Ares's face. Their response, delivered through a complex series of melodic chimes and subtle hand gestures, was far from welcoming. They expressed suspicion, fear of outsiders, and a deep-seated distrust of all races above ground. However, the mention of the obsidian shards caused a noticeable shift. A low hum emanated from one of the Silvani, a vibration that resonated through the cavern. The shards, it turned out, were far more significant than Ares had realized, ancient artifacts of immense power, sought by many, feared by even more. The Silvani, they revealed, had been hiding from the Cathar for centuries. Their mutual hatred for the Cathar provided an unexpected common ground, a shared enemy who could unite two wildly different cultures in a fragile but necessary alliance. An uneasy truce was formed, born from desperation and a shared understanding of existential threat. Chapter 5: The Language of Creation. The Silvani's cavern became a crucible of collaboration, a strange and unlikely partnership forged in the fires of shared adversity. Ares, aided by Lena's expertise and the Silvani's advanced technology, delved deeper into the mysteries of the obsidian shard. The Silvani, it turned out, possessed a profound understanding of energy manipulation, their technology far surpassing anything humanity had yet achieved. The shard, it is not merely a power source, a Silvani elder, named Xylia, explained, her voice a melodious chime that resonated within Ares's chest. It is a key, a fragment of something far greater. Xylia, with the help of other Silvani, used their technology to enhance Ares's analysis of the shard. The Sylvani's technology, far beyond human comprehension, was able to penetrate deeper into the shard's energy patterns, revealing intricate layers of information previously hidden from Ares's advanced scanners. It was a breathtaking display of alien ingenuity. Days turned into weeks as Ares, Lena, and the Sylvani worked together, their combined skills creating a synergy that was both exhilarating and humbling. They mapped the shard's energy fields, identified complex subroutines, and painstakingly deciphered the ancient language embedded within the shard's crystalline structure. This was far more than just a translation of words, it was deciphering an entire cosmology, a lost language of creation. The discoveries were both awe-inspiring and terrifying. The shard was not merely an artifact, but a fragment of a colossal device, capable of manipulating spacetime itself. It was technology far beyond human understanding, a weapon of unimaginable power, an evidence of a civilization far older and more advanced than either humanity or the Cathar. The frequency, Ares said one day, her voice trembling with a mixture of awe and fear. She pointed to a complex waveform on the Sylvani's monitor. The recurring pattern, it's not just a random sequence. It's a resonance, a key. Xylia nodded, her golden eyes shining with understanding. A resonance that can disrupt the Cathar's energy weapons systems. They rely on a specific frequency for their weapons. This is the counterpoint. The implications were staggering. The Cathar, with their superior technology, had seemed invincible. But this discovery, this hidden resonance, offered a chink in their seemingly impenetrable armor, a pathway to exploiting their very dependence on a specific energy signature. It was a gamble, a high-stakes bet, but it was humanity and the Sylvani's only chance to turn the tide of the war. The language of creation had spoken, revealing a potential weapon that could rewrite the rules of interstellar conflict. The weight of this knowledge, the burden of responsibility, settled heavily on Ares's shoulders. The path ahead remained perilous, but a glimmer of hope, a fragile seed of defiance, had taken root. Chapter 6: Seeds of Rebellion. The Sylvani cavern, once a sanctuary, now buzzed with a nervous energy. The uneasy alliance between humanity and the Sylvani was about to be tested in the crucible of war. Ares, Lena, and Jax, along with a contingent of Sylvani warriors, were preparing for a daring counteroffensive against the Cathar. The plan, born from desperation and ingenuity, was as audacious as it was risky. The resonance weapon, Ares explained, gesturing towards a complex device constructed from a combination of Sylvani technology and salvaged Cathar components. It will disrupt their energy fields, rendering their weapons useless. The device was a marvel of engineering, a testament to the combined ingenuity of two vastly different species. It was both beautiful and terrifying, pulsating with a contained energy that felt both powerful and fragile. But it's not foolproof, Lena cautioned, her voice tight with worry. The Cathar are adaptive, their technology advanced. One wrong move, and we're all dead. Jax, ever the pragmatist, added, and we're outnumbered, outgunned. This is a suicide mission. Xylia, the Sylvani elder, approached Ares, her golden eyes filled with a mixture of determination and apprehension. The risk is great, but the stakes are higher. Our survival, and yours, depend on this. Ares understood the weight of Xylia's words. The Cathar's relentless advance had forced them into a corner, they had no choice but to fight. This wasn't just about reclaiming their lost outpost, it was about survival, about ensuring that humanity's fledgling interstellar presence wasn't snuffed out before it truly began. The plan was intricate, a carefully orchestrated ballet of distraction and precision strikes. The Sylvani, with their mastery of stealth and energy manipulation, would create diversions, drawing the Cathar's attention while Jax and Lena, utilizing guerrilla tactics and the resonance weapon, would strike at their key installations. The success of the mission rested on a razor's edge, a delicate balance between precise timing and pure luck. The tense preparations were punctuated by moments of shared fear and determination. The differences between humanity and the Sylvani were stark, their cultures, their technologies, their very ways of thinking were worlds apart. Yet, in this moment of shared desperation, they had found a common purpose, a unity born of necessity. The fear was real, palpable, yet a defiant hope pulsed beneath the surface, a seed of rebellion that refused to be crushed. The countdown had begun. The time for talk was over. The time for action had arrived. Chapter 7: Echoes of Defiance. The assault began under the cloak of a Kepler 186f night, a swirling vortex of crimson dust and shadow. The Sylvani, masters of stealth and subterfuge, moved like wraiths, their bioluminescent markings flashing in the darkness as they infiltrated the Cathar's perimeter. Their movements were precise, silent, a testament to their centuries of experience evading their oppressors. Meanwhile, Jax and Lena, armed with the resonance weapon and a fierce determination, approached the Cathar's main energy grid. The air crackled with anticipation, a palpable tension that hung heavy in the air. The grid pulsed with energy, a terrifying display of alien power. "Ready?" Jax whispered, his hand resting on the resonance weapon's activation switch. Lena nodded, her eyes glued to the Cathar's security monitors. "Sylvani are in position. They've triggered the diversions." Jax took a deep breath, his knuckles white as he gripped the activation switch. With a decisive movement, he flipped the switch. The resonance weapon hummed, its energy building to a crescendo. A wave of energy, invisible yet powerful, surged outwards, sweeping through the Cathar's energy grid. Chaos erupted. The Cathar's energy shields flickered and died, their laser cannon sputtering and failing. Their communication systems went dead, plunging their forces into disarray. It was a stunning success, a moment of pure, exhilarating triumph. The echoes of defiance reverberated across the battlefield. But the victory was far from assured. The Cathar, despite their technological setbacks, were far from defeated. Their ground forces, though momentarily stunned, fought back with savage ferocity. A brutal firefight erupted, a chaotic dance of laser fire and desperate hand-to-hand combat. Ares, observing the battle from a vantage point, felt a surge of pride and terror. The combined forces of humanity and the Sylvani fought with a courage born of desperation, their combined strength showcasing an unexpected synergy. The Sylvani's agility and knowledge of the terrain complemented the humans' adaptability and resourcefulness, creating a dynamic that overwhelmed the Cathar's initial advantage. The battle was a brutal, bloody affair. Losses were heavy on both sides. Yet, with each passing moment, the tide began to turn. The resonance weapon had given them an edge, a crucial advantage that allowed them to push back against the Cathar's seemingly invincible forces. The Cathar's once impenetrable defenses crumbled under the combined might of their unexpected allies. The battle reached a fever pitch, a desperate melee of laser fire, explosions, and hand-to-hand combat. The air was thick with the smell of ozone, smoke, and the metallic tang of blood. Amidst the chaos, Ares witnessed acts of bravery, moments of self-sacrifice that transcended species and culture. The battle was a testament to the resilient human spirit and the unexpected strength of an alliance forged in the face of adversity. The echoes of defiance were growing louder, stronger, promising a hard-won, yet uncertain victory. Chapter 8: The Obsidian Dawn. The battle raged, a maelstrom of laser fire and desperate hand-to-hand combat. The Cathar, despite the initial disruption caused by the resonance weapon, were fighting back with savage ferocity, their superior numbers and brute force pushing back against the combined forces of humanity and the Sylvani. The situation was precarious, the outcome far from certain. Ares, observing the battlefield, felt a chilling certainty they were running out of time. The Cathar were regrouping, their superior firepower slowly overwhelming their combined defenses. A new strategy was needed, something bold, something desperate. Her gaze fell upon the obsidian shard, its pulsing light a beacon in the swirling chaos. "Xylia," Ares said, her voice urgent, "we need to use the shard's full potential. Now." Xylia, sensing the urgency, nodded grimly. She directed a group of Sylvani technicians towards a large, crystalline structure within the cavern, a structure which had previously been dormant. This structure, it turned out, was a powerful energy amplifier, capable of focusing and channeling the shard's spacetime manipulating abilities. With the shard carefully placed within the amplifier, a breathtaking display of energy unfolded. The cavern pulsed with light, the air thrumming with power. The crystalline structure glowed with an intense brilliance, its surface shimmering with an ethereal, otherworldly light. Ares, guided by Xylia, focused the amplifier's power, channeling the shard's energy into a focus beam. The beam wasn't visible to the naked eye, but its effects were immediately apparent. A ripple appeared in space itself, a localized distortion that began to affect the Cathar's forces. Their ships faltered, their weapons systems malfunctioned, and their movement became erratic and disoriented. The Cathar, caught in this localized space-time distortion, were thrown into disarray. Their once impenetrable shields buckled under the immense pressure, their weapons systems malfunctioned, and their movements became erratic. It was as if reality itself was bending to their will. The battlefield transformed into a scene of surreal chaos. Cathar ships collided, their laser cannons firing wildly, their movements completely unpredictable. Their ground forces, caught in the swirling distortion, were flung about like ragdolls. It was a devastating display of power, a breathtaking demonstration of the shard's raw potential. The turning point of the war was not a brute force victory, but a masterful manipulation of the very fabric of reality, a triumph of intellect and daring over sheer force. The Cathar's organized assault dissolved into a desperate, chaotic retreat. Their technological superiority, once their greatest strength, had become their greatest weakness. The Obsidian Dawn had broken, heralding a new era, one shaped by human ingenuity and an unlikely alliance. But the victory was hard-won, etched in blood and sacrifice. The cost of this victory remained to be reckoned with. Chapter 9: Fractured Peace. The aftermath of the battle was a scene of devastation and quiet exhaustion. The once impenetrable Cathar defenses lay in ruins, their advanced technology reduced to twisted metal and scattered debris. The air hung heavy with the smell of ozone, smoke, and the lingering scent of blood. The victory had been hard-fought, purchased at a steep price. Ares, Lena, and Jack stood amidst the wreckage, their faces etched with a mixture of relief, exhaustion, and profound sadness. The losses had been heavy, both human and Sylvani. The cost of their hard-won victory weighed heavily on their hearts. "It's over," Lena whispered, her voice trembling. She looked around at the devastation, at the silent testament to the brutality of war. "We won." Jax, his gaze fixed on the ravaged landscape, nodded slowly. "But at what cost?" Ares, her gaze sweeping across the scene, felt a complex mix of emotions. Relief at their survival, grief for their fallen comrades, and a deep sense of uncertainty about the future. The war was over, but the peace was fragile, a tenuous truce born from mutual exhaustion and a shared understanding of the catastrophic consequences of continued conflict. The Cathar, though defeated, were not destroyed. They had retreated, but their threat remained. The obsidian shards, the source of their near destruction, were now secured, but their true power remained partially unknown, a source of both awe and apprehension. Xylia approached Ares, her golden eyes filled with a mixture of respect and weariness. "The war is over, for now," she said, her voice a melodious chime that resonated with a hint of sadness. "But the peace is fragile. We must learn to coexist, to share this fragile world. The path ahead is long and uncertain." Ares nodded, her gaze fixed on the distant horizon. The victory was bittersweet, a hard-won triumph that came at a tremendous cost. The future remained uncertain, a tapestry woven from threads of hope and apprehension. But as she looked out at the shared space between the two cultures, a space born from hardship and forged in the crucible of war, a fragile seed of hope took root. Humanity, battered but not broken, had proven its resilience, its capacity to survive, to adapt, to rise from the ashes of war. The echoes of defiance had reverberated across the stars, a testament to the enduring human spirit and the unexpected power of an unlikely alliance. The fractured peace was a beginning, not an end. The true test lay in the uncertain future yet to unfold.